Muchachos y muchachas, day 6 of the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. And on Friday, we left off with Juan Alessi. He was a Epstein household employee. He testified, or rather he finished his testimony. And it was more so the cross-examination on the defense team's part. And really, they continue doing what they've been doing, is trying to puncture his credibility by bringing up a past event of him stealing several $1,000s from Epstein. And then they pivoted onto new witnesses. There were 2 officers who had executed a search warrant on the Epstein mansion, the Palm Beach Police Department. So I think there was at least 1 former officer and 1 sergeant who testified. Now, we bring it to today, where we bring on a new witness. Her name is under the pseudonym Kate. And then we move on to a JP Morgan executive director to testify about certain transactions that seem questionable. And then an FBI agent who actually was witness to the FBI raid on his New York mansion. Stay right there. We're going to go through it. In a recent study, women say there's an 8-year gap between how they look and how they feel. In the same study, 66% of women said their quality of life would improve if they looked younger. Our satisfaction sometimes with life is directly tied with our appearance and age. This is why I highly recommend Brighten with Natly. This product helps with reducing the appearance of dark spots and age spots. It's the most effective anti-aging solution I've ever used. If you want to help reduce the appearance of your aging spots, you will love Brighten with Natly. Get up to 50% off for the next 24 hours by going to brightwithnatly.com or clicking the link below. All right, now that we're back, and for those that are wondering, I am wearing 𝘱𝘭𝘬𝘴𝘩𝘪𝘬𝘀. This is the charitable piece that I have in my line. This is completely separate from everything else. 100% of the purchase price of 𝘱𝘭𝘬𝘴𝘩𝘪𝘬𝘀 will go towards human trafficking, rescue, and aftercare. Super excited that I can do that and that it will go to a good cause. So you guys can get that at natlydenisecosmetics.com. That's a link in my description below. So let's jump right in. So there was a detail that I discovered on Friday after I had already done my recap, and I felt that this was really, really important for me to cover. So I'm going to start off with this detail, and I'm going to just warn you, viewer discretion is advised. Hold on to your chairs, and yeah, you'll see what I'm talking about. So this really paints a lot of opinionated characteristics of the defense team, and that is the defense team on the part of Maxwell. Let's just get into the details, and I'll talk about it once we get there. This is coming from the dailymail.com, and again, this was discovered on Friday as one of the testimonies from one of the police officers. They gave this little detail, and I didn't find it in the transcript or the recap, so I found it, and I thought this is super important for us to cover. Jeffrey Epstein had a photo on his desk of his underage goddaughter sitting on his lap while he pulled her underwear and bit her bottom. Ghislaine Maxwell trial hears. This was on Friday that this detail was unveiled. A photo of Jeffrey Epstein's underage goddaughter sitting on his lap while he appears to be pulling her underwear and biting her bottom has been allowed into evidence. This was on Friday. The judge in the Ghislaine Maxwell sex trafficking trial ruled Friday that the photo, along with other evidence, will be admitted into evidence for when they were raised by the witness. Continued, the prosecution says Epstein kept a photo on his desk. Judge Nathan also allowed into evidence a photo of Epstein's goddaughter in her underwear that hung outside the bedroom he allegedly shared with Maxwell at the Palm Beach mansion, which was found in 2005 when the FBI raided the house. 2005. So 2005 raid. We let this man run amok. 2019, there's child porn, you know what I mean? Like his niece, his goddaughter, Okay, so just making sure you understand what's going on so far. Get this, and this is the part where you want to hold on to your chair. You want to hold on to something because this is going to paint a big picture of this defense team here. Get this. Maxwell's attorney, Christian Everdell, said he worried that the image of the girl would make people think Epstein liked prepubescent girls. Okay, I'm sorry, what did you just say? I'm baffled because these are like supposed to be I'm really, when I read that, I had to read it about 3 times. But yes, you heard that right. The defense attorney for Maxwell is worried that the image of the girl, of Epstein's niece, with her undies down and him biting her bottom, that would portray that Epstein liked prepubescent girls. And this is the thing. My question is, why are you making an argument for Epstein? You know what I mean? Like, this is a Ghislaine Maxwell trial. And the whole thing about this is, weren't your opening arguments from day one that the whole thing on this trial was that we're trying to utilize Ghislaine Maxwell as some form of scapegoat because Epstein wasn't in existence to stand trial or to take charges or to be prosecuted? Wasn't that the argument? So I'm a little bit confused here. Christian Everdell, the defense attorney for Maxwell, is saying that he's worried that people are going to get the image of Epstein that he likes prepubescent girls. Isn't that the whole argument of everything else? You know what I mean? I mean, it's bad enough that people have to actually defend Ghislaine Maxwell, but to cross that boundary into this questionability that, oh, the general public's gonna think he likes like, we're past that, sir. We're way past that. We already have this notion of Epstein. How could that be your argument? You know what I mean? So continued on. That's his argument. The court heard how schoolgirl outfits were found at Epstein's New York mansion when the FBI raided the property in 2019. The agents found small costumes on the same floor as the massage room. The court heard Judge Allison Nathan admitted the outfits into evidence. After Epstein's arrest in 2019, the FBI revealed that they found a vast trove of nude photos in the safe of the $77 million New York mansion, along with CDs of images showing underage girls. But this is the first time the existence of the schoolgirl outfits have been revealed. Continued on. Maxwell's lawyer, Christian Everdell, said that, get this, you thought that was enough. Wait, there's more. Maxwell's lawyer, Christian Everdell, said that if it were allowed in the jury, they might make a moral judgment about the conduct and that it's legal. Allison Moe, one of the prosecutors, said, the fact that Jeffrey Epstein had a couple of schoolgirl outfits on the same floor as his massage room may be legs, but it directly speaks to the preference for underage girls, which is the obvious argument here. She added that it shows Epstein maintained an interest in schoolgirls long after the period in which Maxwell was charged, that being 1994 and 2004. Through 2004, Moe said, schoolgirl costume, small ones, were found on the same floor of the house by the massage rooms where the underage girls were abused. Everdell, Maxwell's attorney, objected to the use of the photo of Epstein's goddaughter, which was outside his bedroom, because they may make an inappropriate conclusion from it. I'm sorry. What? Let me continue. Maureen Comey, who's on the prosecution team, said one of the prosecutors said the girl was clearly an underage female in her underwear, and being displayed so prominently in Epstein's home was highly probative. She said it contrasted the idea put forward by the defense that Epstein was an upstanding citizen because he knew important people and presidents. That meant there were no way he could ever have such a vile attraction to underage girls. Comey noted that the photo was outside the bedroom the defendant shared with him. Epstein. So talking about Maxwell sharing a bedroom with Epstein. Comey said that Epstein's lifestyle and the way he decorated his home contradicted the public persona. She added that the defendant knew not only the public persona, but the private persona, the persona which wanted to have sex with underage girls. Continued on, because there's more. Judge Nathan allowed the photo along with another one, which sat on one of Epstein's desks. Comey said that it depicted Epstein with the young girl across his lap and appears to be pulling down her underwear and making it look like he's biting her backside. 𝘱𝘏𝘪𝘀 said, this is the Maxwell defense attorney. 𝘱𝘱𝘀𝘀 said, it was a playful moment and it was nothing illegal. This is where we're at in 2021. 𝘱𝘱𝘀𝘀, and this, by the way, this is a picture of Epstein performing the act on his goddaughter. Was it? I believe it's his goddaughter or his niece. I don't know which one they're talking about here. The one on his desk is of his niece, and I believe that's the one they're talking about. But imagine, this is the argument that we have so far in 2021, that one of the most prolific pedophile child traffickers in our modern day time is known. There's many accusers, there's a lot of suggestive detail to corroborate this. That at least we can say corroborate, because we're in trial right now. But we're talking about one of the most prolific pedophiles, and you're talking about this being a playful moment and nothing is illegal. But yet he has it prominently displayed on his desk and right outside his bedroom. Again, this is where we are at. And my question persists. Why are you continuously defending Epstein's decor or his actions when you're defending Maxwell? So what are we saying here? This is just, I guess, this is questionable psychology to me. And again, I'm an amateur, right? I'm no legal analyst. I'm not a behavioral analyst or anything like that. I'm doing this by my own amateur terms. But my thing is, if he's defending Epstein, is he in also turn saying that he's also that Epstein and Maxwell's actions were hand in hand? That's what it's suggesting, because again, why would you even make any sort of defense for Epstein, who is long gone, right? He's not even here in the real world to stand prosecution, justice, anything like that. So what he did, why not let what he did if that's truly what they're arguing Ghislaine Maxwell is being used as a scapegoat as. You guys understand? This was the opening argument. They said, Epstein's not here, so therefore we're going to utilize you guys are trying to use Ghislaine Maxwell as a scapegoat because he's not here to stand justice. So now why are you making the argument for Epstein then? I'm just basic observations, but this is just very telling. Comey said it showed a deeply disturbing over-sexualization of the young girl. Judge Nathan allowed it to be admitted. Judge Nathan refused to allow evidence into an account of the law enforcement agent who was involved in the 2005 raid on Epstein's Palm Beach home, who thought he saw semen on the property. Judge Nathan asked if it had been tested, and after being told no, it couldn't be used. Continued on, they go into details that we already covered on Friday. So if you need to catch up on what has been going on in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, I made a playlist starting from day one. We've been here from the jump. We've been covering it from day one. So if you want a good binge watch, you want to understand what's going on, there is a playlist. Go watch it, catch up, and wham, bam, there you go. All right, so that's the last detail from Friday. I thought that was a very prominent detail. I don't know why none of that was covered in the recent recap, but as my eyes are always open to the trial, as I find these things, even if it's after the fact, I will always bring it to your attention. So that was the details from Friday. Now let's pivot to day 6. All right, day 6 of the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. A witness using the synonym Kate was taking the stand in has taken the stand in day 6 of the Ghislaine Maxwell's high-profile sex trafficking trial. Under questioning from the prosecution, Kate claimed Monday that she was 17 when she was introduced to Maxwell by a boyfriend on a trip to Paris in 1994. Kate's voice at times faltered, but she spoke in a clear voice in a British accent as she described having sex with Epstein and giving him sexual massages. Kate, wearing a black cardigan, dark blue blouse with white polka dots, and black skirt, is not one of the main accusers in the Maxwell's case, but has been brought in as a prosecution witness. Now, I also want to clarify that Judge Nathan also ruled that any form of her sexual encounters with Epstein couldn't be counted against Ghislaine in the trial in such a way that Kate was of age when she had those sexual relationships with Epstein. Although she was 17, now, I'm not geopolitically, fluent, so I don't know what the statutes are in Europe, UK, or Paris, but apparently 17 is of age, at least in the 90s. So this is why whatever she testifies can't be utilized as an illegal act of conduct against Maxwell because according to the statutes, when this occurred, she was 17 and she was of age in the geography that this happened at. So anyway, with that being said, that's why she can't be she's just used as a prosecution witness. She claimed that Maxwell invited her to the London townhouse in an affluent area of Belgravia where Jeffrey Epstein was wearing a robe. Maxwell told her Epstein's massage therapist had canceled and asked if she could fill in. Kate claimed Epstein took off his robe, revealed his naked body, and Maxwell handed her massage oil, closed the door. Kate said that Epstein initiated sexual contact with her. And by the way, I am going to go through the play-by-play transcript just so that we cross support that this actually happened at the trial, because this is what we have to count on. Kate claimed Epstein took off his robe to reveal his naked body. After the massage, Kate claimed Maxwell said, "How did it go? Did you have fun? You're such a good girl." She sounded really pleased, and I was pleased that she was pleased, Kate said. Later, Maxwell told me to find someone to give Epstein a B job. Kate claimed and said that Maxwell told her he needed to have sex 3 times a day. She sat in the witness box. Her blonde hair was swept back in a bun. She appeared nervous and before the hearing was sitting outside the court with her eyes closed as she steadied herself. Maxwell appeared impassive and mostly remained sitting back in her chair. Continued on. Before Kate began to give evidence, Judge Allison Nathan told the jury that because she was over the age of consent at the time, she is not a victim of the alleged crimes. Judge Nathan said that the jury cannot convict Maxwell based on Kate's evidence and cannot be used for assessing Maxwell's character. The judge can only use it for things that are irrelevant to the issues before you, the judge said. As a result of the ruling, Kate was not asked the particulars of her encounters with Epstein. Kate said that in 1994, she was 17 when she lived in Belgravia in London with her mother, who was ill and under a lot of stress. Kate said, this is a very, very interesting piece right here. Kate said when she first met Maxwell in Paris on a trip with a man she was dating at the time, he was 38. And again, she was 17 years old. And made the introduction as he knew Maxwell. Kate said of Maxwell, we spoke about the evening and where we were headed. We spoke about where I lived. We spoke about the man I was dating. She was asking me about myself. Kate said that Maxwell was very sophisticated, very elegant, and had short, dark brown hair and was very impressive. Kate estimated that Maxwell was in her early 30s at the time. Kate gave Maxwell her phone number and had a few weeks later after she called her. Kate said, I was quite excited to be friends with her, and she was friends with the guy I was dating. She seemed very excited, and she seemed to be everything I wanted to be. So let me just make this really quick point. There's a reason why I highlighted these 2 little pieces here. So number 1, I want to mention that Kate was 17 years old while she was dating a 38-year-old man. Now, be it what, be it that some people say, age, well, that just seems a little, especially in the USA, because we're not used to the age of consent being at 17, right? So to me, that's a bit of an age gap. And also that this particular man liked very young girls, right? So with that being said, the fact that this man knew Ghislaine Maxwell, it just makes me wonder, and I don't know this to be for certain, I'm only speculating at this point, but it makes me wonder if he had any part in the pyramid type of scheme that they had going on. In that saying that, for instance, Ghislaine Maxwell might have, 3 major recruiters under her, and then those recruiters had 2 other recruiters under each one of them, and then they would recruit girls to recruit girls to recruit girls, just like a pyramid scheme. So with that said, I don't know if maybe, and again, this is pure speculation. I don't know this to be certain. I'm just only speculating. I wonder if this man knew Ghislaine Maxwell in that way, because this is a very quick mention of him. I wonder if he was some sort of Romeo pimpin' or anything to the matter of knowing the affairs of Ghislaine and Epstein. I'm just wondering, I'm just questioning things. Now, anyway, continued on. The meeting took place at Maxwell's house in Belgravia, and Kate recalled lots of pictures of Maxwell and Epstein on the walls. Kate told Maxwell she lived alone with her mother and her mom had migraines and she had to give her massages. Kate said that she had a place to study law at Oxford University, which Maxwell told her she attended. Kate said she was a musician as well and said she might pursue that and talked about how she was into athletics. Kate said she had a really lonely time during her meeting with Maxwell. She sighed and said, I felt really special. She had a really lovely time, not lonely time, a lovely time. I felt really special. I felt like I found a connection that would be really meaningful to me. She seemed as excited as I was to have a new friend. I left feeling exhilarated, like somebody wanted me. Somebody wanted to be my friend. Maxwell told Kate about Epstein and that he was a philanthropist who liked to help young people. That would be really wonderful for me to meet him. Continued on. A few weeks later, Maxwell invited Kate back again to her home to meet Epstein. Kate said that there was an urgency in Maxwell's voice as she sounded activated as she said Epstein was in town. Kate said she would love if I could come over and meet him. Continued on. Kate arrived and Epstein was sitting in sweatpants and a hoodie and was on the phone when he ended his call with Maxwell and said, according to Kate, this is the girl I told you about, and explained Kate was planning to go to Oxford and was really a really talented singer. So I'm gonna actually pivot to the play-by-play now, and we'll come back to the recap. Just so I just really like the way that they put the recap together, because there weren't a lot of details missing, and we could get a little bit better of an overview of everything that's been said. All right. So starting off at the trial, this is Kate. Right before Kate comes in as a witness, the judge, the prosecution, and the defense team are having a banter. Now before the jury comes in, Judge Nathan is reading rulings and exhibits. Judge Nathan says the pictures on the wall of Epstein's massage room risk prejudice and distracting the jury. They should be redacted. The other photos of vibrators the court will exclude. Judge Nathan says, I will also exclude the photos of the creepy animals Jane testified to. The tigers, for example, are high idiosyncratic. The schoolgirl uniforms may be admissible depending on the testimony. And that's a little bit weird to me. Jane already testified about the animals on the wall, or the monsters that she said she called them. I just find it weird that these are just animals. Why would they have any sort of impact on the jury? I don't know, but that's what the decision that they made. So Judge Nathan continues. So when the jury comes out, what would you like me to tell them? Maxwell's lawyer says that the parties have reached a stipulation about the last witness that not to call him back, and he will read in the stipulation. Attorney USA then says, can we have a sidebar? Judge Nathan says, bring the jury in. Then please be seated. You may recall the last witness from Friday. Parties have a stipulation, Mr. 𝘱𝘭𝘪𝘀. Maxwell's lawyer 𝘱𝘱𝘀 says, it is hereby agreed by U.S. Attorney Damian William and Maureen Comey, etc. of counsel, and Ghislaine Maxwell that the witness would have said the cardboard box was found in the closet of the guest bedroom had items unopened. Assistant U.S. Attorney, the prosecution team, says the government calls Kate. Judge Nathan says the witness testifying under the name Kate may come forward. Attorney USA then says jurors should pick up the binder and turn to Exhibit 16 under seal. Attorney Pomerantz, the prosecution team, says, Kate, what's your work? And Kate responds, I work with women who are victims of trauma. Attorney Pomerantz says, what did you do before? Kate says, I was a musician and singer. Attorney says, how did you meet Miss Maxwell? Kate said, I had a boyfriend who introduced me to her in Paris. Attorney Pomerantz, prosecution team, says, when did you see Miss Maxwell? And Kate says, a few weeks later. I went to enter her home for tea. I saw a photo of her with the man with salt and pepper hair. And then attorney asked, did you find out who this was? And Kate says, Jeffrey Epstein. Attorney then asks, so where did you meet Epstein? Kate says, at Maxwell's townhouse. She invited me over. Jeffrey Epstein was in sweat clothes, speaking on the phone very loudly. Maxwell told him I was surprisingly strong for my size. He asked for a massage. He said he liked it. Kate then says, then Maxwell told me that the massage therapist canceled and that I should give him a massage since my hands were too strong. Attorney USA says, did she comment on how often Epstein needed a massage? Maxwell's lawyer says objection, and Judge Nathan sustained. Now continued on. Let's go back to the recap. So she gave him a little squeeze and they tested her grip, I guess, to determine if she would do the massage. When Kate arrived to the house, she claims Maxwell told her Epstein needed massages all the time. It was very difficult to keep up. She led me up the stairs and opened the door to a room that had a massage table in it. It was dimly lit. It was a small room. There was a massage table. Kate said that Epstein was in the room wearing a robe when he took it off and he was naked. Continued on. Asked what Maxwell did, Kate said she was in the doorway facing him, gave me some massage oil. Asked if somebody closed the door, Kate said Ghislaine Maxwell. Pomerantz, who is the prosecution attorney, asked if Epstein initiated sexual contact with Kate and performed a sex act on her, and she confirmed he did. Kate said that afterwards he went back downstairs to meet Maxwell. Kate said, how did it go? I'm sorry. Kate said that Maxwell said, how did it go? Did you have fun? Was it good? She seemed very excited and happy. A few days later, Maxwell called again and invited Kate back to her house again. When Kate walked in the door, she said Maxwell told her, you did such a good job last time. He wanted you to come back. Kate went upstairs to the same room with the massage table laid out, and this time Epstein was naked. Before closing the door, Maxwell told Kate, have a good time. Kate confirmed again Epstein initiated sexual contact and performed sex acts on her. Kate testified that when she came downstairs, Maxwell told her, did you have fun? You're such a good girl. I'm so happy you were able to come. He obviously likes you a lot. She seemed really pleased. I was pleased that she was pleased. Asked if Kate ever saw any other girls at Maxwell's home, she said that one time she saw a blonde girl around her age having tea with Maxwell. Maxwell was having her, asking her the same questions, similar questions to those that she had been asked during their first meeting. When Kate asked Maxwell about the girl, she replied that, I think she will be a good fit for him, Epstein. On her 18th birthday, Kate said she received a Prada bag from Maxwell and said that this happened after having sex with Epstein. Continued on. Kate said that she would continue to see Epstein until she was in her early 30s, a period of more than a decade, and Maxwell until she was around 24. When she saw them, Epstein would engage in sexual activity every time, Kate said. When she met Maxwell, she would often talk about sexual matters, Kate said. She said, we would talk about nature. We would talk about boys and boy willies, which is a euphemism for the penis. She said that if I knew anybody who could give Jeffrey a B job, because it was a lot for her to do so. Another time, Maxwell said to Kate, you know what he likes? Cute, young, and pretty like you. Kate claims that Maxwell told her another time Epstein needed to have sex about 3 times a day. Continued on. All right. To go back to the transcript. Attorney USA asks, what was Epstein wearing? Kate says, a robe. He took it off. What was he wearing under? He was naked. Was Maxwell there? Kate says, yes. Did Epstein initiate sexual contact with you? Kate said, yes. Then Maxwell said, how did it go? Did you have fun? Kate then said, later Maxwell told me to find someone to give Epstein a B job. She said he needed to have sex 3 times a day. When he first met Maxwell and Epstein, what was your understanding of the relationship? Kate said, I thought they were boyfriend and girlfriend. Kate said, Maxwell told me he was friends with Prince Andrew, Donald Trump. The names would just come up in conversation. Attorney USA then says, what gifts would you receive from Maxwell? And Kate said, a small black Prada bag for my 18th birthday. Attorney USA says, after you had sex with Epstein? And Kate said, yes, after. Attorney USA then says, were you given clothes to wear at Epstein's Palm Beach house? Kate said, yes, a schoolgirl's outfit with the short skirt, white panties, and white socks. Attorney USA said, did they come at a time you stopped communicating with Epstein? And Kate says, yes, in my late 20s. Attorney USA says, were you compensated by Epstein's victims fund? And Kate says, yes. Attorney USA says, are you planning to sue Maxwell? Kate says, no. All right, so let's go back to the recap. We just have a little bit to recap there about the schoolgirl outfit. Asked about Maxwell's demeanor was like, Kate said, it always felt like she was talking like a schoolgirl. She was younger. It's almost as if she was younger than me. It was odd. Everything was fun. Everything was silly. Everything seemed to be fun and silly. As Kate understood it, Maxwell was Epstein's girlfriend and her job was to take care of his needs, whatever they may be. Maxwell also managed his properties, including the Palm Beach mansion, which she visited around 18 years old. Kate said that everything had to be the way Epstein liked it, and there were a lot of rules with that. Kate said Maxwell used to talk about her social circle in front of her. She said she seemed to know everybody. She told me she was friends with Prince Andrew, Donald Trump, friends with a lot of famous people, and sometimes their names would just come up in conversation as she might be talking on the phone about them with me present. Kate said that she flew to see Maxwell and Epstein in Palm Beach, New York, and his private island on the Caribbean flying commercial, and Maxwell would usually call her with the arrangements. On a trip to Palm Beach when she was around 18, Kate said that she found a schoolgirl outfit on the bed. She said it was a short pleated skirt, white socks, white panties, and a shirt. It went downstairs to find Ghislaine. I asked her what happened with the clothes in my room, and she said, I thought it would be fun for you to take Jeffrey his tea in this outfit. Kate put it on and went to see Epstein, who was by the pool house working out. She said, I didn't know how to say no. I didn't know anybody in Florida. I had no idea where the house was, and I wasn't sure if I did say no, what kind of consequences there might be for me. Ghislaine gave me a tray and told me to go where Jeffrey was and bring the tray. After she got to Epstein, Kate said that he engaged her in sexual activity. Kate said that afterwards, Maxwell asked me if I had fun and told me I was such a good girl that I was one of his favorites. All right. Continued on. All right. So we covered all the bases with that. Now comes the cross-examination. So this is where the defense team tries to poke holes in credibilities of the witness testimony. During the cross-examination, Maxwell's lawyer, Bobby Sternum, asked Kate about her involvement with a man who was connected to the royal family. So for context, what does this mean? She appeared to be referring to Tom Barker Bowles, the son of Duchess of Cornwall. Previous reports have alleged that Kate was paid to set him up in a tabloid newspaper drug sting in 1999. Kate admitted that the man was recorded when they met at the Cannes Film Festival, but denied that she recorded him. Sternsheim said, but he was recorded. Kate said, yeah. In a conversation in which you tried to get him to get you drugs, Kate said, yes. Kate denied being paid any money for the operation, to which Sternsheim said, you did it for free. And Kate said, what? Kate admitted that she sent Epstein emails while he was in prison in 2008 for soliciting underage girls for sex, which she offered to send him pictures of herself, though she was never actually sent the pictures. Kate confirmed that she signed off the emails, best love, always Kate. Kate admitted in 2011 she was asked to stay with Epstein even after he had come out of prison at his home in New York, but he wasn't there at the time, so the visit did not happen. The last contact Kate had with Epstein was in 2012 when she became a mother, she said. During a charged moment, Sternsheim claimed that Kate told an old friend who she ran into in a plane that Epstein case had fallen into her lap, and Kate denied the claim. Sternsheim claimed that Kate spoke to a friend called Ray Hamilton more recently and bragged that the case was moving ahead and that she wanted to get the money and move to Italy with your child. Kate laughed and said no. After lunch, Sternsheim asked Kate if she asked to wear the schoolgirl outfit. You and Ghislaine spoke about 𝘱𝘁𝘁𝑖ans, referring to the British cartoon that was made in a Hollywood film in 2007. The prosecution objected, and Kate was not allowed to respond. All right, going to the transcript now. All right. Bobby Sternsheim cross-examination of witness Kate. Sternsheim, you had a beautiful mother, didn't you? Kate said yes. Sternsheim said, and your stepfather was rich and you lived in Belgravia section of London, didn't you? Kate said yes. Sternsheim says, you were an international model? Kate said, I was a model. Sternsheim said, you were dating an older prominent gentleman who was an Oxford classmate of Ghislaine, correct? Kate said yes. Sternsheim said, you were a model for a UK version of Victoria's Secret? Kate said no, the company failed almost right away. Sternsheim said, but you were a lingerie model, and Kate said yes. Sternsheim says, you were in a piano bar, you were discovered by the musician Seal, right? And Kate said no. Sternsheim said, but you said that you acted in movies. Kate said, I did not have a speaking roles. Sternsheim said, you were in a movie with a very known UK actor, correct? And Kate said yes. Sternsheim then presses, you spoke publicly in your own name in the courthouse, right? And Kate said yes. Sternsheim says, you were invited by a judge in this courthouse, Judge Berman, to speak, and you spoke, right? Kate said yes. And you have spoke with Virginia Robert Giuffre? Kate says yes. Sternsheim says, you used drugs for 10 years, right? Kate says yes. Sternsheim says, and you dated other men? And Kate says, yes, I dated men. Sternsheim then says, and you even married one of them? And Kate says, are you asking me if I've ever been married? Sternsheim says, and you were with a prominent restaurateur? And Kate says, I was with a man who owned 2 restaurants. Sternsheim says, didn't a tabloid encourage you to get a man connected to the royal family to buy cocaine? Kate said, not exactly. Sternsheim said, and that became a big tabloid spectacular, right? And Kate says, I suppose. Sternsheim then says, when were you last in contact with Epstein? Kate says, 30s. Sternsheim says, give me a date. Kate says, I don't have a date. Sternsheim says, how old are you? Kate said, 44. Sternsheim then asks, aren't you trying to get a victim's visa? Isn't this your name? And Kate says, my visa application is based on extraordinary ability. And Sternsheim says, which one? Kate says, music teaching to treat trauma. And Sternsheim says, any unlicensed music coach can get it? Sternsheim says, nothing further. Judge Nathan says, redirect. Attorney USA suggests a lunch break, and they all agree. Continued on. All right. Now next is Patrick McHugh of JP Morgan Chase. I am an officer of the firm. I can speak to who is authorized to access accounts and the like. This next piece is, again, very interesting. Oops. History. Let's go back. All right, here we go. Jeffrey Epstein wired $30.7 million to alleged Madame Ghislaine Maxwell over a period of 8 years. Jury and sex trafficking trial here. So this is the testimony of Patrick McHugh. Jeffrey Epstein testified. I'm sorry. Wrong one. Jeffrey Epstein transferred $30.7 million to Ghislaine Maxwell over a period of 8 years, the jury heard today. Now, there's a reason why I want to go through this article, because I always know that there are a lot of characteristics when you do follow money. It typically does show who has, ties or repetitive funding or repetitive patterns of funding, things of that nature. So, money speaks, money talks. And so this is why I want to get a little bit more in depth about those type of details. Prosecutors brought into evidence bank statements from JP Morgan, which showed transfers worth $30.7 million from Epstein or companies he controlled to Maxwell between 1999 and 2007. Taking the stand Monday and the sixth day of Maxwell's trial, JP Morgan Chase executive director Patrick McHugh broke down the transactions between the late financier and his alleged madame. A bank statement from August of 1999 showed the financial trust company, a company Epstein controlled, selling $18.3 million of shares, which were transferred the same day into a bank account owned by Maxwell. The reason for the transfer was unclear, but in October of 2000, Maxwell paid $4.9 million for a townhouse on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Actually, if you guys have been following my videos recently, I actually did a video on this on Friday. So it's just a web of everything. Like I said, there was an article that got published the day before, I think it was Thursday, and it covered the details of 17 times Jeffrey Epstein visited the White House under the tenure of Bill Clinton as president. In that article, there was a very small detail that I was like, whoa, I'm sorry. I'm today years old knowing that. But this right here, the reason for transfer wasn't clear. But in October of 2000, Maxwell paid $4.9 million for a townhouse in the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Do you know who sold her that townhouse? It was Lynn Forrester de Rothschild who sold her this townhouse way below the market price, meaning that she sold it way millions under than what she could have gotten for it. Interesting, yeah? Also, another fun fact, Lynn Forrester de Rothschild is also suspected, not confirmed, but suspected to be the person to introduce Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton in their friendship. So Lynn Forrester has entered the chat, but she's not in the article, but that's a fun fact for you guys to know. Continued on. A statement from September of 2002 for an account Epstein owned with JP Morgan showed a sale of $5 million of shares which were transferred to Maxwell's bank account at a bank in Palm Beach. The last transfer was in June of 2007 that showed a bank account Epstein owned transferring $7.6 million to Maxwell. The same day she transferred it to a company called 𝘥𝘆𝘐𝑚, which documents showed she controlled. The same day Maxwell wired the money to aircraft maker Sikorsky, and the reference on the transfer said that it was for the purchase of the S-76C Green helicopter and down payment on an executive fetish. During the cross-examination, Maxwell's lawyer, Christian Everdale, suggested such transfers were typical for a billionaire like Epstein. Once again, Everdale, why are we defending Epstein's long gone, right? Like we're aware of this narrative, right? That Epstein is long gone. There's no more Epstein. They're using Ghislaine Maxwell as the scapegoat. So why are we still defending the actions of Epstein unless we're suggesting that his actions and Ghislaine Maxwell's actions were going hand in hand? I'm just saying, like, that's just, if I have to, let's point it out every single time, right? Okay, so anyway, continued on. Isn't it true that the high net worth individuals like this have lots of assets? Everdale asked. They could, said McHugh, who asserted that the transfers alone don't indicate any foul play. Continued on. 𝘐𝑈's testimony came after a witness under the pseudonym Kate took the stand and told the court how Maxwell had introduced her. So then they go into detail about Kate, which we just did a big elaboration on. Okay. Continued on. So Patrick McHugh, JP Morgan Chase. These are the transcripts of the play-by-play. I am an officer of the firm. I can speak to who is authorized to access accounts and the like. Assistant U.S. Attorney on the prosecution team names a slew of financial exhibits and calls them public exhibits. We'll see when we get access to them. Watch this feed. Pending getting these exhibits, the current one shows a wire transfer involving Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell for $7.4 million. JP Morgan Chase and Bonnie Mellon. Now JP Morgan Chase McHugh is being asked about a helicopter purchase. The exhibits as shown on the screens are blurry and we'll have to wait to get access to legible copies. Maxwell's lawyer says this document doesn't show who approved it, right? And McHugh says, yes, the statement does not. Next witness is FBI's Miss Kelly McGuire, special agent. See, this is why I feel like today I just really needed to elaborate on certain details by utilizing different sources. So hopefully we're getting a well-rounded insight to today's day 6. All right. FBI's Miss Kelly McGuire. Let's actually go to this recap right here. Kelly McGuire, FBI Special Agent Kelly McGuire is now testifying about the 2019 raid on Jeffrey Epstein's Upper East Side townhouse. Federal agents and NYPD officers raided the home around the time Epstein's July 2019 sex trafficking arrest and said they found hundreds of images of nude underage girls stashed inside the safe. All right, continued on. Let's actually find this right here. All right, let's actually go to the transcript. I don't think there's many highlights. They might have cut off this testimony a bit short. Yeah, let's just go to the transcript at this point. All right, Kelly McGuire, FBI. Special agent, the prosecutor asks, what is this? Agent McGuire says, the front view of the resident at 9 East 71st Street. When there was no response, we forced our way in. Attorney USA then asks, did you come across a massage room on the 3rd floor? McGuire then responds, we did. This photo, 902R, is the entrance to the massage room. Attorney USA says, and 903R? McGuire then responds, it's the massage room. The pictures on the wall are redacted, the public exhibit. McGuire is done. Judge Nathan asked if the U.S. has a short witness for the next 10 minutes, now starting another FBI agent. Attorney USA, does the FBI investigation have its own number? Agent says yes. Did you review CDs in the 2020? Agent says yes, with 𝘱𝘂𝘢𝘢. Attorney USA then says, we offer into evidence this photo of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Judge Nathan then presides breaking for the day. Jurors have a good night, and that is done. All right. Ooh, we went through a lot. My goodness, we went through a whole bunch today. This was almost an hour worth of recap, but there was definitely a lot of details. Again, some of the details were overlapping from Friday, but nonetheless, I feel like that was a big game change. I mean, we already knew the angle of the defense, right? But I just feel that it's important to know exactly where they stand, and the fact that there was there was children, and Jeffrey Epstein was like featuring them prominently in the house, knowing who he is. I mean, very telling. So anyway, with that being said, that was a lot said today. That was a lot of recap. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hey, by the way, guys, be sure to be sharing these videos into your Facebook groups, your Telegram chats, your Instagram chats, your group chats, your family chats, your friend chats, because I'm telling you, like, we're not getting in-depth coverage like this. And I really feel that we really need to have a big understanding of everything that's going on. So I really appreciate your help in doing that. Also, I am an independent amateur journalist here and commentator, so every little bit helps. There is a tip jar at the bottom, so I appreciate your appreciation. Once again, I appreciate and love you guys. I will catch you in the next episode, whether it be a video or a recap. I will catch you in the next one. Have a great morning, day, or night. Goodbye.